A general business update. I think we've seen a lot of progress since I last sat here and talked to you. I think the main efforts are revolving around responding to our customers. And what our customers are telling us is that they really like the assets that we have in the business. And we have, as you know, a selection of technology platforms focusing around guest experience. So with our TE2 platform and our queuing businesses and our ticketing platforms. And what our clients are really asking for, and this has changed in the last year, I suppose, is they're looking for those to be really joined up. They're talking in terms of what we describe as the digital guest journey. So they're thinking about how do their consumers, their guests, the people visiting their ski hills or visiting their cruise ships or their water parks or theme parks or towers or wheels, they're thinking about how do those guests enjoy their attractions, and how can technology join together to seamlessly pass them through their visit. So we're doing a lot of work thinking about how we can do that with best effect. And that's happening all over the world. So we've got clients coming to us from the four corners of the world to do that, which is exciting because it's what we hoped would happen as we started down this strategic path 8 or 9 years ago. So IFRS 15, we first reported against this new standard in our interim results back in the early autumn of 2018. And really what it requires us to do is think about revenue recognition and how we think about revenue in our business. And we have a variety of different revenue models in the business, mostly as some sort of transactional model where we're taking a percentage of revenue we create or taking a percentage of profit. Anyway, the long and the short of all the changes that we had to think about in the business was that most things netted out. So we were up a little bit here and down a little bit there. But one significant contract required us to recognize that income on a net level as opposed to a gross level, which we're doing previously. So basically, in previous world order, we'd been reporting all the revenues generated by a contract, and then we were returning our customers' share of the profits of that contract under our cost of goods sold line in the accounts. And basically, what the IFRS 15 rule requires us to do is report that contract net. So underneath the revenue line, we haven't seen any impact to any of our profitability or anything sitting underneath the revenue line, but at a revenue line, it looks like we've gone backwards a little bit, and that's why. Ingresso, we bought the business in 2017, and those of you who live in London or come to the theatre in London, might well have bought tickets from Ingresso, because the business was founded in London really to be an aggregator of London theatre ticketing content. So to talk to all the different box office systems around London and to aggregate that data and then make that available to reseller partners. So people like Groupon and Ticketmaster and very last minute, Time Out, I think, various other portals that want to sell tickets in London, and our own brand from the box office. We didn't buy it, however, simply for its business in London. We bought it because we feel that there's a really, really significant opportunity to aggregate the content from lots of our clients around the world, not just our clients, but other people as well, but other attractions operators, and to become an aggregator of attractions and leisure tickets around the world. So we've spent the last few months making the Ingresso platform talk to our various ticketing platforms and making the digital connection between those platforms seamless, and speaking to our clients around the world and seeing if they want to work with us to help them distribute their tickets through third-party resellers. And our deals with Google and with Groupon that we've announced, and there's a few more in the wings, I hope, which we'll be able to announce in the not too distant future, are the next phase of that business. So this is basically opening up the ticketing platforms of many of our clients to distribution partners like Google and Groupon and others to come, where we think there's going to be a great deal of business to be done over the next few years. And excitingly, we're one of the very first people to be doing this, and we think there's a really good opportunity to grow a substantial business if we get it right. So we're working hard to do that. Village Roadshow have been a client and friends of ours a very small client, but friends of ours for many years, a decade at least. They are the largest operator of attractions in Australia. And, people might know them for they make movies and TV shows, but they also have a theme park business. And really, I suppose this is a a happy story because we're seeing it replicated elsewhere as well. But they were always a little nervous to do business with us or to really do a lot of business with us. As far as they were concerned, we were a UK or an American headquartered company. They're in Australia, the other side of the world. So if they had a problem selling tickets, for example, at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, we were all going to be in bed, and it was going to be hard for us to support them and look after them. So fast forward to a couple of years ago, we opened an office in Australia to help serve our client Merlin, because they have a number of attractions in Australia, and we needed people on the ground in Australia to make sure that the Merlin business was being handled appropriately and serviced properly. And almost immediately after we opened that office, our friends at Village Roadshow called us up and said, "Okay, we're glad to see you here. Let's talk." And so we've had some fantastic discussions with Village, and they, I think, are our first client who've gone all in. In some way they're working with all of our different platforms. So our queuing platforms across their parks, and our ticketing of various different flavors, our point of sale platforms, and T2, our guest experience platforms. So they've gone from a standing start to being a very fully adopted customer in short order, and we're delighted to be working with them. They're a fantastic group of people, and they've got some lovely attractions on the Gold Coast in particular in Australia. So as many of our investors will know, we've been working with Merlin for a number of years now, and we were very fortunate to win their global ticketing and e-commerce business a few years ago. I've just talked about it in relation to our business starting in Australia. They came to us a few months ago as they were developing their Bear Grylls concept, which is a new and really brilliant attraction they've opened, I think, in Birmingham in the UK, which is bringing together a bunch of adventure-type sports. So for their guests to have a go at doing, from rock climbing to indoor skydiving to a whole range of really exciting adrenaline-type sports. And they were looking for a technology platform to allow their guests to interact with their experience, to be able to make reservations to go on the different types of attractions, maybe to think about payments, and they needed somebody to help them think that problem through. And I think they were aware of our Prism band product, which we developed a few years ago in conjunction with a very large operator in the United States, which is a wearable device which includes various chipsets and a screen which allow us to offer all kinds of functionality to operators. It can be used to everything from triggering photography to triggering interactive experiences in the park, to payments, to being a key for your locker or a key for your hotel room door, to being able to help you make reservations for different rides in an attraction. So using that wearable device, because they've got guests and customers, climbing up rock faces, they don't want them to have phones in their pockets which might fall out and hurt other guests. So a wearable device is a great form factor for them, and they can offer a range of different functionality to their guests in this really exciting new concept. And clearly we know our client and our friends at Merlin well, and we're delighted that they chose to work with us with this new piece of technology, and hopefully we'll continue to be able to be a great partner and bring them new ideas and new possibilities for them to hopefully drive fantastic guest experiences for their consumers. So healthcare has rather taken us by surprise. I think I might say we were approached by a very large hospital operator in Detroit, the Henry Ford Hospital System. And I should say that over the last 8 or 9 years, as we've been developing our company, we've been pretty disciplined about not being distracted by business outside our core verticals of leisure and entertainment attractions. This is the first time that we've been tempted just to step outside that lane and have a look and see if we can apply some of our technology to an adjacent market. So what they're interested in is making sure that the patient's experience as they go through a hospital stay, which is probably going to be an anxious and stressful time, not just for the patient, but for their friends and family as well. Can we use technology which has been developed in theme parks and cruise ships and hospitality sector to ease that journey, to maybe take some of the stress and the awkwardness out of that journey, make it easier for the patient to interact with the hospital, for the hospital to interact with the patient, for them to everything from checking into different departments to knowing where the patient might be, to them ordering their different lunch, to being reminded that they've got to be in a part of the hospital for an appointment, whatever it might be. How can we use technology to to ease their stay. And excitingly, Henry Ford are helping us think through their problems and helping us understand their challenges as they try and give the best possible care to their patients. And we're learning a great deal, and we're really excited about the applicability of what we've got. And I think Henry Ford would I hope they would say the same. So, and this is everything from using our Prism device, which seems like a logical device to be able to put on the wrist of a patient, to some of the TE2, the experience engine technology, which we're using with big customers like Carnival Cruise Lines and Alterra, the big ski operators in the States. So early days, but really, really exciting, and we think the potential to be a really intriguing and interesting business for us in the future. Well, that's a jolly good question, and obviously we sit here in uncertain times, and I suppose I would think about 2 or 3 things. First of all, we're pretty global these days. We're operating in 30-something countries. We've got business all over the place, and the sun, it doesn't start raining everywhere at the same time. Is our kind of part of our theory of the globalization of our company. So whether that be economically or physically, the sun's out somewhere. So that's number one. Number two, a lot of our business is in North America. Still, it's our biggest geography by concentration, largely because we've bought a few businesses there over the years. And actually, North America is feeling, notwithstanding some of the other political goings on, is feeling pretty confident about itself. And certainly the demographic we serve, attendees at big leisure attractions, I think by and large are feeling pretty positive about life at the moment. So, that business is doing pretty well in North America, which is pleasing. In terms of our business with the rest of Europe, clearly, there's uncertain times ahead. We'll see what happens. But, as a proportion of our business, it's quite small. So we report in dollars. We have the majority of our cost base in dollars. So we feel, insulated to some degree from the macroeconomics of what's going on. And what we also found, just, whether history will repeat itself, of course, we don't know. But through the last sort of 2008 meltdown and the years following that, actually our business did quite well. It turns out that people, even when they're feeling a bit sad and, nervous about life, little Johnny still has his 14th birthday. There's still, reasons to celebrate, things that you might want to do as a family, memories you might want to create together. You might not, move house or buy a new car or refit your kitchen, but you still want to, there are moments in life that you want to mark with your friends and your family. And we found that our clients, the operators of attractions, were pretty resilient through that time, where others were having a ghastly time. So, selfishly, I think we feel that we might be quite well placed to ride out whatever is ahead.